Welcome to planet Earth. This planet is comprised of various unique and biodiverse biomes, which we will discuss in this presentation. Listed below are all of the different biomes of this planet. We will discuss each of these areas of the world individually. First up is the Antarctic biome. As you can see, the Antarctic biome is located in the southern hemisphere of the planet. Antarctica is the coldest continent on the planet, with the lowest surface air temperature ever recorded at negative 89.2 degrees Celsius. Additionally, Antarctica's climate is also dry and windy. It is considered a polar desert and very rarely sees precipitation. The majority of the Antarctic fauna population is comprised of animals like penguins, seals, and aquatic mammals like whales. Some specific species found on this continent include leopard seals, orcas, blue whales, emperor penguins, and the wandering albatross. Notably, many of these animals spend most of their time in the water. The adaptations taken on by these organisms in order to endure the cold of the Antarctic climate include windproof or waterproof coats, as seen on emperor penguins, blubber, as seen on whales, and behavioral adaptations like emperor penguins' tendency to huddle together against the cold. The kinds of flora which can be found on this continent include lichen, bryophytes, fungi, phytoplankton, and two flowering plants, hairgrass and pearlwort. These plants can exist in the Antarctic biome because they are adapted to survive in extreme environments, i.e. low temperatures and dehydration. To the left is an example of a food web from the Antarctic biome, while to the right is an example of an energy period from the Antarctic biome. Antarctica is too cold for humans to inhabit, though several nations have set up research facilities there. An example of a Disney production taking place in Antarctica is 8 Below. Coral reefs are found in the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Oceans. The climate of a coral reef is a very delicate balance. The average temperature is between 16 and 30 degrees Celsius. The coral reef is one of the most biodiverse biomes in the world. Animals include fishes, sea snakes, sea turtles, dugongs, and manatees. Plants include algae, seagrass, and mangroves. To the left is an example of a food web from the coral reef biome, while to the right is an example of an energy pyramid from this biome. Coral reefs can be affected by climate change. As mentioned earlier, the average temperature is between 16 and 30 degrees Celsius. The organisms in this biome cannot easily survive under or over the average temperature. Climate change can lead to coral bleaching. In addition, things like steering boats over reefs and removing marine life from the reef can be disastrous for the biome. The next biome is the desert biome. This map shows that deserts can be found on the North American, Central American, African, Asian, and Australian continents. The desert climate is known as an arid climate. It's a climate in which precipitation is too low to sustain very much vegetation. The flora found in deserts include cacti, rock plants, tumbleweeds, Mexican poppies, and wildflowers. Animals include coyotes, rabbits, owls, lizards, and frogs. Some of the adaptations include an ephemeral life cycle. It's where organisms live for a short time but leave behind a lot of materials that can help organisms that come after them. Cacti also store moisture in this arid climate. To the left on this slide is an example of a food web from the desert biome, while to the right is an example of an energy pyramid. The impact that humans have on the desert is destroying the soil and possibilities for vegetation via off-roading and running pipes. Freshwater wetlands are primarily located in the northern parts of the North American continent, but they can be found in other places as well. Average temperatures for a wetland climate range from 65 degrees Fahrenheit to 75 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer and 35 degrees Fahrenheit to 45 degrees Fahrenheit in the winter. The climate of these biomes is determined by a number of factors like location, season, and depth of water. Freshwater wetland animals include various types of fish, eels, leeches, river otters, and frogs, while plants include liverwort, mosses, fern, water lilies, and duckweed. One of the most notable adaptations is of the water lily, which has weak stems and flat leaves for more exposure to sunlight in the process of photosynthesis. To the left here is an example of a food web from a freshwater wetland, while to the right is an example of an energy pyramid from this biome. One of the most famous examples of humans infringing upon wetlands is Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. Disney World is built upon swampland. At the time of its construction, environmental concerns were not prominent, and now Disney is involved in conservation efforts. As seen here, grasslands are located on 6 out of the 7 continents. On average, grasslands have hot summers that can be over 100 degrees Fahrenheit and cold winters that are as low as -40 degrees Fahrenheit. They typically get between 10 and 35 inches of precipitation a year. Most of it occurs in the late spring and the early summer. Grassland plants include blue grama, buffalo grass, big blue stem, switchgrass, and little blue stem, which are all grasses. Animals include eagles, badgers, bees, prairie dogs, and foxes. Animals like bisons have stomachs that are adapted to feed solely on grasses. To the left is an example of a food web from the grassland, while to the right is an example of an energy pyramid from the grassland. Humans pose a threat to grasslands through agriculture, logging, livestock, urbanization, climate change, ecosystem modifications, contaminants and introduction of exotic species, energy and transportation, and trapping and shooting.
The world's oceans, the largest biomes, are shown as the blue regions on this map.
There are 5 ocean biomes: the Atlantic, Pacific, Indian, Southern, and Arctic. These cover almost 71% of the Earth. Every ocean's average temperature is 39 degrees Fahrenheit or 3.89 degrees Celsius. Ocean plants require sunlight to undergo photosynthesis. Because of this, they adapt to either float on top of the water or grow in shallow enough locations that can receive light. Such plants include kelp, seaweed, seagrass, algae, and coral. Ocean animals have adapted to survive in high-pressure environments, such as the pressures of deep oceans. Such animals include tuna, sharks, blue whales, clownfish, and sea anemone. Humans cause a large amount of damage to the oceans through intense fishing, coastal development, and pollution. Actions like these decrease the ocean's ability to provide food, protect livelihood, maintain clean waters, and recover from stressors such as storms.
The benthic zone starts around 1,000 meters under sea level and continues down to the seafloor.
The benthos is found underneath ocean biomes at the point where no light travels from the sun. The further down the benthic zone is, the colder and darker it is. There is no light for plant life to photosynthesize with, and therefore no plants live in these biomes. The benthos includes anglerfish, blobfish, goblin sharks, spider crabs, and flatheads. These organisms have adapted to survive in the massive pressure and cold environment of the benthic zone, and are carnivorous due to the lack of autotrophs. Humans cause harm to the benthic zone through oil drilling, gold mining, overfishing, and pollution.
The yellow regions on this map show the location of the savannas.
Savannas, or tropical grasslands, are found between tropical rainforests and desert biomes. There are 2 seasons, the very wet season and the very long dry season. There is an average of 4 inches of rain during the dry season, with none whatsoever between December and February. The wet season has an average of 15 to 25 inches of rain. Plants include baobab trees, kangaroo paws, jackal bessies, whistling thorns, and jarrah trees. These plants have adapted to hold water during the wet season to use during the dry season. Animals include lions, hyenas, meerkats, warthogs, baboons. These animals have adapted with long legs to travel long distances, different food sources so there is little competition, and burrowing underground to raise young and hide from predators. Humans cause harm to the savannas through turning the land into farmland, starting fires, and hunting animals for their body parts.
On this map, the taiga biomes are shown shaded in green.
Taigas, or needle-leaf forests, are located under the tundra biome near the top of the world. The average temperature during the winter is between -54 degrees Celsius and -1 degree Celsius. The summer temperature is between -7 degrees Celsius and 21 degrees Celsius. The total rainfall in a year is from 12 inches to 33 inches. Plants include evergreen trees, pines, white spruce, hemlock, and Douglas fir. These plants have adapted to survive the extreme cold of the biome by forming wax over the leaves. Animals include wolverines, lynxes, bobcats, minks, and ermines. These animals have adapted to grow thicker fur to survive the harsh conditions. Humans harm the taiga through logging, oil, and gas mining, as well as hunting.
The temperate deciduous forests are shown on this map shaded in red.
Found in the eastern half of North America, the middle of Europe, and throughout Asia, there is an average annual temperature of 50 degrees Fahrenheit and have an average rainfall of 30 to 60 inches. Plants include oak, beech, maple, chestnut, hickory, and elm trees. These trees have adapted to lean towards the sun in order to absorb more sunlight. Animals include bears, foxes, bald eagles, rabbits, and raccoons. These animals have adapted to hibernating during the winter. Humans harm temperate deciduous forests by destroying them for farms or towns and poaching the animals.
The green regions on this map show the location of tropical rainforests around the world.
Tropical rainforests are found near the equator in the southern hemisphere. There is an average of 50 to 260 inches of rain a year, with an average temperature between 68 degrees and 93 degrees Fahrenheit. Plants include epiphytes, saprotites, carnivorous plants, lianas, and stranglers. These plants have adapted to get water off their branches before they get heavy enough to break. Animals include gorillas, snakes, jaguars, hippopotamuses, and butterflies. These animals have adapted to live in trees, have bright colors, and make sharp sounds. Humans harm tropical rainforests through deforestation and poaching. This biome is found on most continents: the west coast of the United States and South America, the Cape Town area of South Africa, the western tip of Australia, and the coastal areas of the Mediterranean. There are many different types of terrain. Some are flat plains, rocky hills, and mountain slopes. It is characterized as being very hot and dry. The temperature in the winter is very mild and usually about 10 degrees Celsius, and in the summer it is very hot and dry at about 40 degrees Celsius, and fires and droughts are very common. The biome receives about 10 to 17 inches of rain all year, and most of it occurs during the winter. Most of the plants in a chaparral have small, hard leaves which soak up moisture in the air to keep the plants alive. Other plants have hair on their leaves to collect water from the air. Certain plants can withstand fire and have heavy, deep roots so that the plants are able to thrive after a fire. Some of these plants are things like poison oak, scrub oak, yucca whipple, fairy duster, French broom, and other shrubs, as well as tree and cacti. As for animals, the animals are mainly grassland and desert types. They are fit for hot and dry weather. A couple of examples are coyotes, jackrabbits, mule deer, alligator lizards, horned toads, praying mantis, honeybee, and ladybugs. Most animals tend to be nocturnal in order to avoid the heat of the day. The animals have to adapt to the intense heat and change of temperature of the area, as well as they have to ration out their food after a drought. On the previous slide was an example food web for this biome, and on this slide is an example of an energy pyramid for this biome. Humans harm chaparral biomes by building buildings, industries, and factories. Some organisms depend on natural forest fires, which don't occur with people in the area. Temperate woodlands exist over the western coast of North and South America and around the Mediterranean Sea, South Africa, and Australia, between 30 degrees and 40 degrees north and south latitude. Winters are very mild and summers are very hot and dry, which can lead to fires. Average temperature is 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and this biome receives about 200 to 1,000 millimeters of rain per year. The plants in this biome have waxy small leaves that can retain moisture. Many of these plants have developed fire-resistant leaves, but many of them produce flammable oils which give rise to many fires during the summers. Some plants grow during the winter and die during the summer. Some plants, when the water supply is low, will slow or even stop food production to conserve resources. Examples of plants in this biome are things like bloodroot, violet, sage, rosemary, thyme, evergreen trees, and cork oak. Animals use camouflage to hide from predators. Most animals have a varied diet and are not picky about what they eat. Mammals are the most abundant in the temperate woodlands. A few examples of mammals are things such as coyote, foxes, and black-tailed deer, mountain lions. Other types of animals such as Montpellier snakes, whip snakes, western scrub jay, songbirds, and California quail inhabit this biome as well. On this side you'll see both a food web and energy pyramid, with the larger animals at the top and the smaller animals at the bottom. A large amount of wildlife are pushed from their homes due to the increase in human population. People have also introduced non-native species of plants and animals, which damage the natural balance of this biome. A good human impact is that people have helped to control the forest fires that this biome experiences. Temperate rainforests only occur in a few regions around the world. Most of them occur in oceanic moist climates, others in subtropical moist climates. The main stretch of this biome is throughout the northwestern coast of North America. There are other smaller areas, but this is the main one. They form where there are relatively warm offshore waters that affect inland climates. There is a lot of fog in the air, which helps to keep the biome cool. Average precipitation is at least 200 centimeters and can range up to about 350 centimeters. There are 4 seasons in this kind of rainforest. Average temperature is about 0 degrees Celsius, but for warmer parts of the rainforest, the average is about 20 degrees Celsius annually. Big coniferous trees dominate this habitat, including Douglas fir and western red cedar, mountain and western hemlock, Sitka spruce, and lodgepole pine. Mosses and lichens are very common due to the minimal water stress on plants without roots. Smaller plants have learned to adapt under larger plants in order to all grow in a community since the smaller one is shaded by the larger one. There are many different types of slugs in temperate rainforests, such as the banana slug. These slugs fit very well in this biome because the humid air prevents desiccation. The slime that the slug secretes is an adaptation so that the soft underside of the slug is protected from sharp objects. 2 different kinds of birds that inhabit this rainforest are Clark's nutcracker and the blue grouse. Some different animals that live in this biome are mountain lions, Roosevelt elks, and Pacific tree frogs. Both mountain lions and Roosevelt elks can live in a variety of places as long as they are where the food is. Pacific tree frogs can change color to correspond with the season or environment to protect them from danger. On this slide, you will see a food web and energy pyramid for this biome. The number one threat to these forests is logging. People are looking to make a profit off of the huge trees in these forests, so they are cutting them down and selling them as timber. If this is done and not done carefully, it can result in soil erosion. Humans have negatively affected these forests just for the timber and their uniquely large trees. Tropical seasonal forests are largely restricted to the tropics, and most are found between 30 degrees north and south latitude. Much of Mexico falls into this biome, as does some of South America, India, and Australia. The tropical seasonal forest has more or less densely growing trees, which lose their leaves during the dry season. Average annual temperature is over 20 degrees Celsius, and rainfall can vary from less than 50 centimeters per year to almost 300 centimeters per year. A plant that is more noticeable at the end of the dry season is Indio desnuda, which stands for the naked Indian and has adapted to the dry season by having photosynthetic green bark so that it can carry out some photosynthesis during the dry season when the leaves have dropped. Another kind of plant is the cactus, which is another important tree that has thorns that deter many herbivores. Other plants such as lotus, ironwood, and a cactus rely on small leathery leaves to keep water loss to a minimum. Some other plants are cotton, pepper, and the caicos plum. The giraffe is the most characteristic animal of this biome from Africa. They are suited to browse leaves from trees, and their long black tongues are so dexterous they can even remove leaves from thorny cactus. Scorpions are predatory invertebrates that are part of this biome. The 2 main birds of this biome are the magpie jay, which catches food in the wet season for consumption in the dry season. Because of the need to remember where all the food is, these birds are very smart. The second is the crested guan, who lends its name to the whole region of Costa Rica, Guanacaste. There are large amounts of white rhinos that inhabit this biome as well. Oh, that was rough. Shown here is a food web on the left and an energy pyramid on the right, showing the flow of energy throughout this biome. The tundra biome is the coldest biome and is located at 55 degrees north and 70 degrees north latitude. It covers about 20% of the Earth's surface, which is mainly in the north hemisphere. computer. Average temperature for winter is about -30 degrees Celsius, and the average summer temperature is 3 to 12 degrees Celsius, which enables this biome to sustain life. Including melting snow, yearly precipitation is 15 to 25 centimeters. A layer of permanently frozen subsoil called permafrost exists, consisting mostly of gravel and finer minerals. Animals are adapted to handle long, cold winters and to breed and raise young quickly in the summer. Mammals and birds also have additional insulation from fat. Many animals hibernate during the winter because there's not enough food, but another alternative is to migrate south for the winter, like birds do. There are not many reptiles and amphibians because of the extremely cold temperatures. The population is continually changing because of the immigration and emigration. Examples of animals are lemmings, caribou, Arctic hares, and squirrels, Arctic foxes, wolves, polar bears, salmon, trout, ravens, mosquitoes, and falcons. This slide shows two example food webs, consisting of the larger animals eating the smaller animals. This is an example energy pyramid, showing the energy flowing through this ecosystem. The melting of permafrost caused by global warming could radically change the landscape and species able to live there. Strong ultraviolet rays are harming the tundra because of the depletion of the ozone. Oil spills kill wildlife and damage the tundra ecosystem. Air pollution can cause smog clouds that contaminate lichens and significant food source for many animals, and the list goes on of the human impacts on this biome. All the plants are adapted to sweeping winds and disturbances of the soil. The plants are short and grouped together to resist the cold temperatures and are protected by the snow in the winter. They carry out photosynthesis at low temperatures and low light intensities. Growing seasons are short, and most plants reproduce by budding and division rather than by sexually flowering. Examples of these plants are sedges, reindeer mosses, liverworts, grasses, crustose, and Philios lichen, as well as Arctic moss. Thank you for visiting Earth, and I hope you come again soon. The end. Sources.